sustainable to farmers. Any questions on that before we move on? Big topic, I know. So fair trade, we like it because it started us somewhere. We like it because it's that safety net, but it's definitely not the solution to kind of moving forward that we see. Okay, so another big one is organic. Everybody heard of organic products? Really the rage lately. If you look at grocery stores over the last 5 years, the amount of organic materials is, probably gone up 5, 6, 10 times, 20 times. A lot of times organic and fair trade get grouped together, but they're two separate certifications. So when we think about organic, most people think about the way a coffee is farmed or a tomato is farmed. We don't use harmful pesticides or fertilizers or herbicides, which is pretty much true. You can use those things if they are organic certified pesticides or herbicides. Organic also is a very kind of tedious double check on both how you farm, but also how your land is laid out, how much native tree growth you have. There's a lot of little particulars farmers have to go through to be certified organic. The other side of organic that oftentimes isn't realized is it means that we as Kaldis are also certified organic. Our roasting facility has to be audited at least once a year to make sure that our handling procedures are up to par with organic standards. So we have to use separate cleaning procedures for any equipment that gets shared between organic and non-organic coffee. We have to have separate storage areas for all of our organic procedures. We have to have labeling procedures that are specific to organic certification. And in the long run, it's really kind of the USDA who we answer to. They set the organic standards within the United States. And then they have a bunch of agencies, or a bunch of basically private agencies that are certifiers of organic. So we use QAI, their logo's up in the right here. They're who certifies Kaldis, and they do a number of other products throughout the country. This both in a plus and a minus way will add a consumer value to a product. Usually consumers will perceive an organic product to be healthier, to be a better life decision. And I think definitely within the university age group, if you're given the option between organic and non-organic, most people will choose organic unless they have some other quality or value incentive to do otherwise. Now, some disadvantages, again, to organic certification has nothing to do with the quality of the coffee. Just because the coffee is grown organically doesn't mean it's going to be delicious. It could be not delicious, it could be great. But it creates that value to customers that doesn't tie it to the actual product. It ties it to a certification. The certification for organic is really expensive. And it can be really unsustainable and impossible for small farmers to be organic certified. For one thing, it's expensive. It also takes at least 3 years to convert your farm from non-organic to organic. So the limitation in the yield, the amount of coffee you can produce when transferring from non-organic to organic, can put you out of business, can bankrupt you because of the lower yield. Coffee buying on the market is still very a quantity-oriented trade. And convincing farmers that quality is more important than quantity is a tough thing. But the added fees of doing organic can be even more of a detriment to the income for the farmer.
If, like the first year a coffee farm would transition to organic, they would lose, maybe up to 40% of their yield that year, which is their income for the year. That's huge. So,
and when we say that, a farmer loses 40% of their income, most farmers are already in debt when they grow their coffee. Most farmers are getting credit from their co-op or from the mill that they sell their coffee to in order to make it through a year of harvest. So if they come up short 40%, that might mean that they don't make any money that year. They only are able to repay their debt, or even less, that they go further into debt. Some of this, I don't want to make the coffee industry sound terrible, but the more I read about coffee, some of these practices really remind me a lot of cotton farming in the 30s in the South, and with sharecropping and similar things, just driving yourself further and further into debt and not really having a way out. The other really big disadvantage is you can be organic by kind of going through the certification process, changing over habits on your farm. You can also be passively organic. Tyler saw a lot of this in Ethiopia. You want to touch on that a minute?
Yeah, so really to run an organic farm effectively, you're still adding natural fertilizers and things like that. It's very big into farm management and improving the crop. Well, you can also be organic if you don't do anything to the coffee, which is what a lot of coffee farms do. In Ethiopia, there's a number that said 90% of the organic farms were passive organic, which means they do nothing, it just grows. There's no pruning and things like that to help increase yield, and really affects the quality of the coffee. So they might be organic, but again, the quality aspect really comes into play there.
So that's even another misperception on the process. A lot of people put the value in organic because they think the farm management is much higher, when a lot of times the opposite is true.